developing valuable business skills I could take with me anywhere. That was my goal. That was my focus.
Tony Robbins, who was an incredible mindset coach and saying all the right words, didn't give me anything to take action on. How do I take action on words?
I think one of the biggest problems out there right now is that people will just do the first thing that they see.
So most people don't think about the business side of it and all the overhead.
Yeah, not enough people out there really put that knowledge in front of people before they go ahead and start something.
Distinction is like everything in life. Making subtle distinctions can change the whole direction of your life. So today I have a special guest, Andrew Mbesi. He is going to go over 0% interest cards that you can get and how to get them. As well as a lot of other topics that'll help you get money, get access to money, and also, if you're into social media, be able to go viral maybe. He's came all the way here. He brought a whole team with him, so happy to have you on the show.
Yeah, very happy to be here.
Yeah. So how did you get started in business credit?
Yeah, that's such a good question, actually. So at the time, like 3.5 years ago, I didn't really have any money to start a business and fund some mentorships to teach me real business skills. I didn't really have communication skills or marketing skills or knowledge on like organizing boards, how to structure a business, any of that. My parents weren't entrepreneurs. I didn't really have any friends who were interested in entrepreneurship. So I was on my own. And what I did was I turned to the internet. Fresh college grad, COVID hit, and I was just doing DoorDash and Amazon warehouse. At the time I had some money, but I quickly blew all of it on these courses, not knowing I should be looking for a mentor, looking for someone I should work one-on-one with to learn these valuable sales skills, marketing skills, business skills. So by the time I found that person, his name's Dylan Cadulo, he taught me sales. By the time I found this person, I had $500 in my bank account.
Wow.
So I was under the impression I was getting these 0% interest personal cards at the time to fund advertising spend, but it turned out being like, hey, if you pay for this program, we'll introduce you to Dylan, who Dylan was working for someone else's company, but he was a sales rep making $30,000 to $40,000 in commissions every month.
Right.
So I was very interested in meeting this person. And they said, we'll introduce you to this person. We'll fly you out to San Diego. You could spend all this time, but you need to settle some of this program balance that you owe for this inner circle deal I was a part of.
Okay.
So that's how I used 0% credit for the first time to fund a mentorship that would teach me sales. And so that's how I got my foot in. Someone had, ran me through an application sequence of like a Discover card, Amex card, all these different credit cards that have the 0% APR. And I did the sales training. I got better at sales. And then a couple months later, had the opportunity to work for Dylan when he started his own company. He was starting a sales training company. So I said, I want to get better at sales. What
was your score when you got those cards?
Great question. It was just 750 credit score with one $1,700 Bank of America personal card.
Got it.
That's all I had. And I got around $30,000 of personal credit. If I didn't have the knowledge of business credit at that time, about 3.5 years ago.
So this was all personal?
Yeah, this was all personal stuff.
So you loaded up your personal, you got 750 at the time. You've got 0% interest credit cards, which the other thing that comes up when people get 0% interest credit cards is the clock starts ticking.
Yeah.
Well, you were in 12, 18, 13, 15 months?
Yeah, like 12-month cards.
12 months.
And I think the most important thing to mention there is that if you're going to use 0% credit, you need to be confident in what you're using it for. For me, I felt comfortable and confident placing bets on myself to learn these skills because I knew I was hardworking, persistent, willing to learn, pretty bright. I could duplicate and retain knowledge pretty quickly and apply it. As long as I have really good mentors and, I'd made some mistakes with my own money. Fortunately, it wasn't with credit because actually if I did use personal credit on those mistakes, my score would have gone down. I wouldn't have been able to get additional exposure to make those investments that gave those investments in the right things, right? Like the mentorship with Dylan to learn sales.
Back to credit. So we've got 0% interest. You're loading up your personal, time's ticking. and you're at what point did it get to the point where it had to get to a point where personally there was a crisis that happened, an intersection,
like that breaking point.
Because that's when people call me or email me or whatever, is when they're at that crisis point, when they've utilized more credit than they should have.
Sure.
It's starting to impact their credit score. The time is ticking, and there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
It's a perfect model for the credit card companies.
It's perfect. No, that's a great
nice little
point,
trap,
right? Because I think these are a lot of the things that sometimes when you get a credit card, you don't think about when you're getting into it. Like, you're thinking about all the money that you could use to invest, but you're also not considering all the emotions that you'll go through, the first time you do it. Because I remember like that whole year was just loaded with ups and downs. Because you see all like the sexy things like the cars and like all the success and the nice house and the nice lifestyle and having abundance, but to get there are steps, there are, learning curves. There are, times where you're going to question yourself, what am I doing? And I feel like I'm so happy with the way I did it through the experience of sales, because that's just such a fun game where when you don't have any skills in sales and now your back is also against the wall and you have to produce and you have to make it go right, you're going through all those times where it's like maybe a couple of days you don't get a sale, and so you're not making any commission. And then you finally have that day where all those skills that you invested into yourself finally like pay off, and you finally get that sale. It's like, oh, I remember what I'm doing this for and what my goals are. And I think it's so important with anyone who's leveraging 0% credit, or you're thinking about leveraging in 0% credit. The most important things to have are like confidence and knowledge, so you could have like responsibility and control over whatever business or investment that you're getting yourself into.
Can I replace confidence with another word?
Sure.
Competence.
Yeah, competence, like knowledge and competence.
Yeah, I was just in Silicon Valley looking for companies to fund. Like, I literally just flew in not that long ago.
Yeah.
And I was looking at 4 different companies. Last month, we looked at 153 companies, and I funded 2 of them.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. They got up there, and the guy said, that was the attorney that was telling all them that you've got to pitch from a certain amount of arrogance.
Sure.
And I was like, having been in business for over 40 years, started 32 companies in 17 industries, bought 17 companies, exited 5 times. I'm like, no, it's competency, that you're competent, because it shows through. Arrogance turns people off. Confidence, it also, I think, turns people off. But having to me, you got to sit down and work till you're competent.
Yeah.
Like, that's when you've read the rules, the game, and you're competent. And confidence is just hoping the world doesn't change the rules, which often happens too.
Sure.
Right? Credit card companies send you a new rule book, and that's the new game plan.
Yeah.
Right? They get some FTC, complaint, they modify it, the CFPB, the Consumer Protection Financial Bureau, will turn around and pressure them, threaten them with a bunch of money and lawsuits, and then they'll change the law, and then you'll get an update that's 5 pages long, and you're like, what is this stuff?
Yeah.
It's not like you have a choice. In fact, I don't know if you know this about me, but I lived on business credit for 4 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that you lived for 4 years off business credit. Wow.
Yeah. I think this was the 3rd time. I lost everything.
Oh, wow.
Right? It was $12.8 million in debt.
Wow.
I moved all of my personal debt to my business debt. Right? So it freed up my personal credit. My credit score went up to 850. That's what my credit score sits at, 850.
Wow.
Which I'll show you. And literally, I was living on all my business credit cards, which I have a whole binder over there I can show you. And I remember walking by, I got my last card, I got $27,000 on a black card, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, not a black card that just had $27,000, which is crazy. But it held me through till I could complete some of my deals. And then it was April 12th, 2012. I was completely debt free. I had paid back $12.8 million in a period of 4 years. From 2008, because I was in a lot of real estate deals, industrial property, houses, investments, debt. I bought people's debt as well with collections, and a lot of people owed me money and filed bankruptcy. So one after the other, from banks failing. I had banks fail on me. I had people that were filing bankruptcy that owed me money. So there was this domino effect of all this stuff that was happening all at once that I couldn't have controlled any of it. Distinction is everything in life. Distinction is like everything in life. Making subtle distinctions can change the whole direction of your life. It's like mind-boggling.
I think another thing too is that just not enough people out there really actually put that knowledge in front of people before they go ahead and start something.
Right.
You got all these, coaches, gurus trying to sell like a business opportunity, but you don't ever learn what is actually involved in terms of costs until you actually join and pay for the coaching.
You would be shocked at all the people that are really super imposters that are really set themselves up just to be coaches, and literally there's no there.
Yeah.
Right. And I always think about this. There's implied authority, which I think God gives all of us implied authority, right?
Yeah.
And then you have applied authority when you actually do things, right? And then I think there's earned authority. And I think where most people fall short, especially a lot of YouTubers that will never have me on their show, is because I have earned authority.
Yeah.
32 companies, 17 industries, 5 exits, bought 17 companies, currently buying companies, unlimited warehouse line, doing loans every single day, like literally. So sometimes every single 15 minutes, right?
Wow.
So, plus putting the message out there. It's like I've earned my authority. And I think that's the difference. They see that, I have implied authority. I can just go be a coach. I'll just tell people I'm coaches. They just declare it. And then when they do it, right? Okay, great. But ultimately, have you done the do?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. I learned that about, I think it was 15 years old when I really got that. I had bought in all Tony Robbins material. I had bought in Marshall Silver's hypnosis and success stuff and sales and persuasion. And I had bought Tom Hopkins. I'd bought everybody's courses. And then a guy showed up in my life, Mr. Kosman, and he changed my life.
Yeah.
By 16, I was patenting my first product.
Wow.
I had opened a company at 12, but by 15, I had 2. By 17, I had 200 employees and I was a multimillionaire. And that came from meeting the right mentor.
At 17?
At 17.
Wow.
He was competent, though. He had 22 different product lines. He was selling overseas. He taught me how to sell overseas. He taught me how to get exclusive rights. He taught me how to patent, trademark, copyright. He taught me how to set up business infrastructure. He taught me how to set up business credit, right?
That's incredible. All at age 17.
No, I actually got exposed to him when I was 14 or 15.
Wow.
So I had a real estate mentor, Mike Gunn. He had 300 properties. Another guy, Ron Lee, who was the best real estate broker out there. So I was listening to them when I was a kid, 15, and hanging out with them. They were in their 30s, right? Just listening and sucking up everything they could possibly teach me, right? And then Norm Kramer that owned retail stores, he had a bunch of clothing stores called Off the Rack. And I'd fly around in his plane and we'd go buy products. And then I'd ask him like, what's the difference between this label and this label?
Yeah.
And how do you distinguish that? And then he's the one that started talking about products and product lines and branding. And then Mr. Kosman, when I met him, he had risen to a level that no one else had. So I learned how to do mail order, which was a big thing at the time. I learned how to sell to the government.
Yeah.
I learned 22 different ways to sell overseas. I learned about manufacturer's reps so that I could become a manufacturer's rep. I learned about distribution. I started a factory,
Yeah.
So off of what he had taught me, and then I used his tools to get exclusive rights to stuff that I was actually manufacturing.
Sure.
So nobody else could touch it, right? My youngest manager at 17 was 37 years old.
Wow.
My youngest manager that I was managing. Is that crazy?
That is really crazy.
And it all happened because of Mr. Kosman. So I met the right mentor that actually knew the tactics, the strategies, and the application, and he had earned authority. Tony Robbins, who was an incredible mindset coach, right, and saying all the right words, didn't give me anything to take action on. How do I take action on words? Right?
It's true. Yeah.
Is it a C Corp? Is it an S Corp? Is it an LLC? Is it an Inc? Like what? Sole proprietorship, partnership, general partnership? Right? What to do? If it's an LLC, do I want it manager membered or member managed? Do I want it managed by managers or member managed? Do I want to own? How do I want to own the actual membership in the corporation? Do I want to own that personally? Do I want to attach it to anything? Believe it or not, like nothing's in my name. This house isn't even in my name.
Wow.
Plenty of banks have different models.
Sure.
You know, and when you look at enough of them, like you have, you start to say, oh, here's one that doesn't require docs and doesn't require this and doesn't require that. I mean, I've even got some banks that I can probably hook you up with. So, and they change. What do most people do that actually get a 0% interest credit card?
I think that's such a great question. Because I think with the way that our advertising is structured, we get to talk to a little bit of everyone. We get people who are interested in doing their first fix and flip. We get people who are interested in funding their own trading portfolio. They're interested in starting an online business like an e-commerce store. Sometimes we get people who have their own construction businesses. Or they have their own coaching businesses. They want to fund recruiting and advertising spend. So I think we get a mix of a lot of different people who want to do a variety of different things. And the best things to use the funding for are things that I think you could get a return on investment before the end of the intro period, so that you don't have to pay interest. So that's a good question. I think we get a variety of different things because it's just, you could use it for anything. Yeah,
the tough part for a lot of people, I think, is they're just, if they've never had access to that before, and they use it irresponsibly, the fact that people would come back and try and say they've been victimized by you trying to help them.
Yeah, we're pretty clear and honest with that up front. Like, hey, look, once you get the funding, it's up to you to use it on whatever you'd like. We do have, masterminds, office hours where, we'll talk about business or investing or funding, whatever it may be. So we'll have like real estate experts hop on our guest speaker mastermind and talk about their experience of fixing and flipping or buying and holding real estate or starting a fund. So that way they, learn more about the different possibilities, because the last thing that we want is for someone to dig themselves a hole that they feel like they can't get out of, right?
It just seems to me, though, there are some people you just can't stop from doing that.
It's true. Like, I'm not going to say...
They'll just, literally bet on red at a casino.
Yeah.
They're so desperate to get ahead.
I know.
I think they're jumping.
Yeah, they're trying to jump too fast to the success without learning what it takes to have the success. Like, they all want the instant gratification now, and they're willing to take whatever risk, but it's almost just so reckless.
What motivates you?
I think the thing that really clicked for me early on was when I was working for myself, just doing the credit stacking for people, right? And I was making money, sure, like $10,000, $20,000 a month, which was good for me, right? Like that's really nice income for me at the time. And I was helping my clients win too. I was getting them funding for their businesses, their investments. And what really just stuck out to me was that my younger brother and one of my friends, Paul, were working for me, and they weren't really making any money. They were just helping me. And the three of us were having such a fun time together. We were all, enjoying ourselves. And I felt like I was doing them a disservice by not expanding, by not growing, by not helping more people, because I wasn't able to help them achieve their personal, professional, or financial goals. So when I realized that, I realized that I need to do things bigger, not just for myself, but for other people around me, because I've, created this opportunity now for myself, but besides even creating the opportunity for myself, creating opportunities for others really gets me excited to wake up every day, because I could definitely do like a couple of small things like with my current business, which is like my first successful business, which I think it's inspiring getting to talk to someone like you who has had 32 businesses, all these different exits and all these different companies. For me, I really like the business I have, and there could be an opportunity one day to sell my business and do like a couple of small tweaks to remove myself from it, set up some processes, write up some SOPs, and, you know, just iron things out. But part of me just does not want to sell it because of how much fun I have every single day, you know, knowing the impact that I can create on people's lives by helping them get funding. I just don't have any desire to do anything else with my time at this current moment. I could see myself running this business and having a fun time with it. I just don't see it, like, because there's just too much fulfillment that I get out of it. I think that's like what gives me the spirit to wake up and, you know, continue doing this. Not the money, you know, that stuff is cool. It allows me to go do fun things, but I'm really excited the fact that, you know, my team, we're about to get a 25,000 square foot office space in Miami. We're all going to move out and, you know, have a fun time doing business together. And we're all surrounded by the same mission, vision, values of this current company. It's just a really fun time.
What's the, where are you at right now? Where are you based out of?
Miami.
Oh, so you're in Miami.
I am in Miami.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, there are some options that you can sell but not sell.
Sure.
Do you know what those are?
Tell me a little more.
So one is an ESOP. Do you know what an ESOP is?
No.
It's basically it's where employees get to share and buy a piece of the business, right? So there's
I know Brandon Dawson did something like that.
bunch of tax advantages there, the whole
Yeah.
bit. Also, it activates more of your employees to be more actively involved, and it's, to me, it's more about managing money, right? So you have a multiplier on the company that'll give it a value that then you could turn into stocks and shares that you can put in that employee program. But you cash out part of your company that then you can invest that cash, let's say, in real estate, or, you know, buying investment property, or even dropping it in treasuries, you know,
Sure.
or diversifying some
Yeah.
of your stuff. I think the biggest thing is just the credit responsibility. I think
that is the biggest deal too.
I mean, nobody's like, your stacking shows up on a credit report. Everybody knows about it.
Sure.
Like, it's not a hidden secret. So you're not hiding anything. So most people think that, like, doing credit card stacking is not legal or not ethical, or that, like, so why do you think they think that?
I think people jump to conclusions when they don't understand something, right? Like if they don't understand it, then it might seem too good to be true, because most people overlook the 0% offer on business credit cards or personal credit cards. Like they know that the welcome bonuses exist, the cash back exists, the travel points, but they don't look at the 0% promotion. So I think, you know, people are quick to jump in and say like, oh, that sounds like a scam, right? Because they just have never seen it for themselves. They've never actually done the time to go and look for themselves, and they just go based off of like the opinions of what other people say.
How do people find you?
Yeah, if people want to find me, I'm on Instagram. I also have a YouTube channel. It's just my first and last name, Andrew Imbesi. You can subscribe to me there, follow me there. You could text me. We have a phone number that we all use at 732-936-7993. Yeah, I post content too on Instagram, YouTube.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks for coming on the show, and hopefully you'll help a bunch of people get more business credit.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Well, thanks, brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to
Thanks
see
for having
you.
me on.
Thanks for stopping in, coming all the way from Florida.
It was a
Jeez,
great
man.
time.
Right on.
Yeah.